What's up, y'all? This your girl Brittany from She Abundantly at sheabundantly.com. And I am in the mood for some girl talk, okay? I've been in this mood since last night. And this is the $1,000,000 question. Should I live with my boyfriend? Girl, I know. This is a question I know you have asked yourself. You've asked your friends, people around you. You've asked culture. You have been wrestling with this question, and maybe you already made your decision. I'm about to move in with boo thing because that's my boo thing, and I love him. He fine, he cute, and we're gonna be together forever. Like all these gooey fuzzy feelings go through your mind and heart about being with him and living with him and all that stuff. But this is something that I know our culture, especially our young women, wrestle with. And I know we wrestle with it because you see so many people living together, so many girls moving in with their boyfriends and vice versa, right? And so I want to take you down this journey. It's going to be a short journey, but I'm going to take you down this journey of processing that question. And my initial response may shock you a little bit, but walk with me. Okay. So the question is, again, should I live with my boyfriend? And then my response to you would be, well, it depends. It depends on your goals. It depends on your motive, what you want to do. Because when you think about living with your boyfriend, or maybe one of the main reasons that people decide to live together is to save money, to help pay bills, right? Of course you like them, you love them, whatever, you feel like you're going to be with them for a long time. But it's like, yeah, we might as well, so we don't have to drive back and forth to two different places. And so we can save money. It's expensive. I live out here in these main streets of Illinois. Okay. It's expensive, right? So I get it. It's a rational thought process. Like, well, it makes sense to move in. It makes sense to just bring everything we have and come together. And so we don't have to go our separate ways. We can just be with each other, right? But think about it like this. If all you want to do is just save money, do what you want to do. Or if all you want to do and moving in together is so y'all can be laid up and have sex and you fulfill your fleshly desires in the moment, do what you want to do. If your goal is just to grab a hold of him to make it seem like he's yours and nobody else's, out of fear, out of an insecurity, out of just not knowing the proper way of pursuing a relationship, then okay, do what you want to do. But if those are your goals, if that is the main reason why you're deciding to live with your boyfriend, let me just say your goal or your standard is really low. Because reality is, we as humans, we as young women and young men, we are called to do something so much greater than to save money, than to be laid up with some dude, laid up with our boo, than to look cute on Instagram or to decorate the place and, make it feel cozy and at home with a man, We are called to do something so much greater than that, which is to make God known. Well, how in the world what that got to do with me living with my boyfriend? Making God known. I do make him known. I post my scriptures on my social media. I go to church. I do all kind of stuff. What you talking about? I'm a Christian. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, those are all the thoughts that come through our mind, all of our emotions that come up, when our desires are being challenged. But our purpose is to make God known. And let me just say, when we are doing what we want to do, when we take upon ourselves this relationship with this guy, and we are doing these committed like things together and not really committed to one another, we are doing the very opposite of making God known. In fact, we are shielding God's true love and true heart, not only from ourselves, but from the people around us who we are influencing when we make this decision to live with our boyfriends. See, I know you thought this decision was so simple, right? Like, it's just moving in together. But let me tell you, it's much deeper than you think. Okay. When God introduced a union, a marriage between a man and a woman in the book of Genesis, Genesis 1 and chapter 2, Genesis chapter 1, chapter 2, he used this kind of language. He says, this is when a man leaves his mother and father and cleaves to his wife, and they become one flesh. One flesh. Why does he say they become one flesh? Why does he use that kind of language? The two become one. The reason why he did that is because he wanted, or he created man and woman, marriage, the beauty, the love between a man and a woman to be in the image of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. They are all one. They are unified, a unified being. And what that shows is their trust with one another, their commitment or fidelity with one another, their love with one another. Because in trust and love and fidelity and commitment and all that good stuff, that's when God can be known at his greatest. That's how you see God's love. That's how you see, or you get to know who he is. So what he does is he makes things, relationships, people, foundational things, fundamental things, principles, all these good things. He makes them in the image of him. When he made a man and woman, he said, let's make them in our own image and in our likeness. Not just in like our appearance or whatever, but how we function in life. You know? If you look at the book of John, chapter 17, when Jesus was praying to God the Father concerning the people, the believers in the world, not just the believers there on earth at that moment, but the believers who would be born like you and I. He was saying, like, let them be one, let them be unified just as we are, so that others may see their unity and give you glory, Father, and love you and want to know you. So they may see that there is a true God in heaven that created them and loves them and wants to be in relationship with them. So it's more than just living together or moving in together. This whole idea or thing about commitment or fidelity is huge. And let me say, when we don't honor commitment, when we don't honor fidelity, being in a relationship with the opposite sex and committing your life to that person and saying, I am excluding everyone else. I'm bonding my life with you in body and soul and spirit and living situation. When we don't do that, when we don't honor commitment, we are literally saying that God's love or God's commitment or fidelity is not worth it. We are literally shielding God's love, God's heart from ourselves and from those around us. Does this make sense? And y'all, that is so dangerous, to take commitment and trash it, or to say it ain't worth it. I ain't got to do all that. We don't have to really commit our lives to one another to get the benefits of committed like relationships. We ain't got to do that. When we live our life like that, it's so dangerous, because what we're essentially telling ourselves, what we're essentially telling the people around us, especially children around us who are watching us, is that you ain't got to do all that. It's not required. Okay, you don't have to commit your life to somebody else or this person that you love or so like. You don't have to commit your life to them, to be with them, to live with them, to have sex with them. You can just do whatever you want to do. You can recreate the rules or the standards of a relationship, which is so crazy because we didn't create marriage. We didn't create relationships. God did. So when he did, he created standards and boundaries around it. But we think we can take it and do what we want to do, take away the boundaries and all that stuff, when it doesn't work like that. Nothing in life works like that. When you break a law, you're no longer protected by that law. The only thing you have left waiting for you is a consequence of breaking that law, breaking or overstepping that boundary. But what we are saying is, it don't take all that. You don't have to commit. You don't have to be devoted to that person. And this is where the enemy deceives us severely, because when we think that way, it reflects how we think to God, how we think towards God. Oh, you don't have to be devoted to God. Oh, you don't have to be committed to him. You don't have to not cheat on him, and you can do whatever you want to do. You can come in and out of relationship with him. Oh, you can explore other guys. You can worship other guys. You don't have to be all in with God. You don't have to be committed to him. And yo, that's a bald-headed lie, boo. That is a bald-headed lie, because when God talks to his people, one of the main things that the people of Israel in the Old Testament, in the Bible, one of the main things that they were charged with, it wasn't the fact that they were complaining or, that they were doubting. It was their level or their lack of commitment to God. So much so that God charged them with adultery, charged them as prostitutes, which was so hurtful and heavy. Because it's like, yo, I am your God. Serve me only. I will provide for you. I will make sure that you are taken care of. Trust me with your entire life. That's what commitment really is. To entrust your entire life to somebody, to that one person. You cannot worship more than one God at all. Because if you could, you wouldn't be in a committed relationship. You would be a polygamous person, a person who is incapable or not capable of, or not say not capable, but you're not choosing to commit. And that is not how God operates. That's not how he operates with his children. And it's crazy because a lot of people think that I can do whatever I want to do, or I can be in this relationship with God and cheat on him and go other places. What real relationship do you know to where that works in real life? What relationship do you know where that happens? You are in and out of the relationship, cheating on this person. You know that hurts the other person. You know there's nothing good that's going to come from that. Nothing but heartache, pain, turmoil. You're hurting that person. You're not loving that person. You're abusing that person. Our hearts don't even work like that. When we're cheated on, when we're, lied to, it hurts severely and our trust is broken. Why do you think we feel that way? Why do you think we are we are wired like that? It's because we have the heart of God. He said, make mankind in our image and our likeness. It shows you the fidelity, or it shows you the level of commitment that God is requiring from us to him. Does that make sense? So the question is, should I live with my boyfriend? And I will answer, do you want to make God known? Do you want commitment? Do you want to reflect God's love for people, his people? When God's love is made known, it's shown through his level of commitment to us. Meaning he's our God and we are his, and he ain't going nowhere. He ain't cheating on us. You know what I'm saying? We are literally one with him. We can trust our entire life to him, to know that he'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. He'll provide for us. He's there with us forever. Should I live with my boyfriend? If you want to make God known, if you want his fidelity, his love, his characteristics to be known in your life, then I would say no. Don't do that, because that's not making God known. That's actually showing the opposite. That's what you're doing when you do that, is you are lying. You are cheating. You are robbing. You're stealing. Why are you doing all that in this one act? Yeah. Because you're doing acts with this guy that you didn't do with your heart, with your actual life. You are doing these committed like things together, living together, having sex, that you didn't do with your heart to him. Does that make sense? You're saying, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we together. But you didn't make that commitment to him. You didn't make that stance known with your heart. So essentially what you're doing is you're lying to him. Every time you lay down with this dude, every time you come home to him and lay down in the bed together, you're doing with your life, you're doing these acts with your life that you didn't do with your heart or before God. So what you're doing is you're illegally with this person. You're taking this person on as yours who's not really yours. Marriage is not just a piece of paper. It is a stance. It is an act of declaration of fidelity, of commitment to that person before God and before others. That's not something to take lightly. We're causing people to be led astray, to walk away from God. to walk away from his love and his commitment, which are the very things that we need. We're doing the opposite. We are preventing ourselves from being able to be committed. Because I don't know if you know, when you practice lying your whole life, it's harder to tell the truth. You create a habit of lying, of infidelity. You create a habit. And when you lie, you are literally breaking down hearts, creating hard hearts. This is why a lot of our kids, a lot of people don't believe in love. They don't believe in marriage. Why? Because they were never given a healthy view of a relationship, a woman and man committed to one another. They were never given a healthy view of motherhood, fatherhood. And it hardens the heart. People don't think that it takes all that. People don't think that it's something that's necessary, something that you need. People can't see God. This is why it's so important to follow God's word and God's truth, because it makes it easier. When people can see God in you as another human being, it makes it easier to see him. It draws them, turns their heart towards him. But when you do the very opposite, when you decide to lie, cheat, steal, it turns people away from God. I don't want your love. I don't want your commitment. My heart is so hard right now. I can't see you, God, because I am the product of all this breakdown, all this lack of fidelity, all this lack of love, all this lack of commitment to one another. I'm just driving the message home like I always do in my videos. I spent my time, okay, living below my standard, living below the beauty, the call that God has called me to. I spent my time settling. I spent my time giving my body, my mind, my soul to a guy who never showed any value in me, or never showed that he valued me and understood my worth. I gave myself to him hoping that he would see my worth. That ain't how it works. When people see your worth or know your worth, you know that they know it by how they respond to you, how they treat you. Okay? If I let a man take me as his own, have sex with me, move into a house with me, what he's doing is he's showing me that he doesn't know my value. He doesn't know how expensive I really am, because he didn't pay for me. He didn't put in the work to have me. And if I allow him to do that, that shows I don't know my value either, because I'm giving myself away for nothing. On a simple conversation that said, you my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend, some word, some lip service. He didn't do anything to have me at all, but I'm giving him such, this most expensive thing of me, which is me. I'm giving it to him for nothing. That make no sense. That don't make no sense at all. And like I said, I spent my time doing that, and I'm done. It took me one time, one heartbreak, a real heartbreak, to realize this is straight up trash. Ain't no value in this. Ain't no God in this. Ain't no heart fulfillment in this. Ain't no peace in this at all. Nothing but heartache, nothing but the consequences of my sinful actions, nothing but mundaneness, boredom, nothing but an average life. I don't want to live an average life. I want God's hand, his miraculous word to just illuminate, like to just permeate from my life like a river, so that other people may be nourished from God's word and the truth of his word flowing from my life. Saying, if you do this, how God is saying, you will live. I want people to gain life from my life. I want people to see God and know God for themselves from my life. So guess what? I ain't never living with a man who ain't decided to commit his entire heart and life to me, who ain't showed me how much he values and understands my worth. You'll never catch me, okay, living with a man in that way. Because this right here, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. You see this? This is very expensive. This is very valuable, very fragile, okay, top shelf. You don't just walk up and touch it. You marvel at this. You look at it, you look back at God, and you look at it, and you look back at God, and you question, you ponder, oh my goodness, God, how could you have created such a beautiful creation like this woman? How? I can't just touch it. I can't just walk up to it, do whatever I want to do. I got to take care of this. I got to show her I know her worth. I got to show her that I understand how much you put inside of her. For me to allow a man to just come and have sex with me, move me in a house that he ain't committed, that he ain't did nothing, he ain't committed to me in with, where there is no foundation, no security, no fidelity. For me to let a man do that, that's not only an insult to me, but an insult to my creator. Insult. God, you did all this. You put all this inside of me. And I'm gonna just let somebody just come and have me whenever, however he want. That's a slap in God's face. I put too much in you, daughter. And here's the thing. God would never tell one of his sons or a man to do that to a woman. He would never tell him to do that to you. A man who's led after God's own heart, he will honor commitment first, more than anything, because that's the heart that God has, which is commitment, which is fidelity to his people. And if a husband is called to be like the groom, like Christ, and we are called to be the wife like the church, think about that. He's called to commit to us, to love us. He would never undermine the one who's given him instruction on how to love the bride. He would never do that. So for a man to approach me in that way, that lets me know you don't really understand the love of God. You don't really understand his instruction to you as a man, because God instructs men to make women wives, not live-in girlfriends, not baby mamas, but wives, because that's where the most fruit comes out of. Commitment, that's where it's most fruitful. That's where God can say, yes, I can pour into this, I can bless this, be fruitful and multiply. Make more of me, make more of God worshipers, just like you guys are. Make more people who are committed to commitment, who are not liars and cheaters. You can't have a relationship with God not being committed to him. You can't have a relationship with God lying and cheating. So I've been taking this time to deal with the liar inside of me, to deal with my own infidelities, because I want a healthy relationship with my Godfather, and I want a healthy relationship with a man, with a husband one day. But I can't do that if I'm practicing living a lie, if I'm practicing lying right now. If I'm saying I'm committed to you, but I'm not really committed to you, that's a lying, boo. And I got one more thing to say. For those who are thinking, well, shoot, God know my heart. You know, that's a common excuse. God know my heart. I know this thing that God is telling me to do, but I'm doing the very opposite, and God know my heart. Let me just say this. Ooh, that's a dangerous idea. That's a dangerous approach to a holy God. Think about it. Think about your mama and your daddy. For you to know what your mama or your daddy told you to do, and you do the very opposite and just say, well, they'll be all right. Don't worry, they'll forgive me. They're so gracious and merciful. That's a slap in their face. That is a total dishonoring of their authority, of their word. Would you do that to your real parents? Would you dishonor them in that way? I told you, my daughter or son, I told you, this is what I require of you. This is what I want you to do. This is what is fulfilling to your own heart. And you say, yeah, I heard you, but I know I'm going to do what I want to do, but you'll forgive me. What if your children did that to you? What if your children disregarded your instruction like that? How would you feel? That wouldn't go over too well, right? I know it wouldn't. Now, why you think God ain't as authoritative? Why do you think he's less authoritative, shall I say? Why do you think he won't feel a certain way, feel anger, or feel disheartened or hurt that their child doesn't trust them, that their child doesn't take his words serious? To have that kind of approach to a holy God, oh my goodness, that's a scary approach. That's a dangerous stance of heart. How do I know? Because I'm one of those hard-headed girls. I'm not ashamed to talk about it because it frees somebody else who is just like me. And you know what God does with me? He deals with me. He speaks to me. And he says, don't come to me like that. If I'm telling you to do this, it's because I mean it. It's because it is what's best for you, and it is what's best for other people. And I need not only you, but the people around you to see me. Don't you hinder my people. Don't come to me with a heart like that. Don't disregard my word like that, my daughter. I mean business. I love you. I'm full of grace, but I'm also full of justice. I don't want to stand before God. Here's the thing. From what he's telling me and I'm on earth, it softens my heart, and it makes me want to love him even more. It makes me want to be obedient to him even more, because he is such a good father, because he's telling me something good, because his track record with me has never been to hurt me. He's never hurt me, ever. And for him to say I'm disappointed or that's not what I'm telling you to do, don't you do that, my daughter. That reprimanded behavior, that's real. He ain't playing. Listen, let me say this. It's one thing to know God's word, to do what he's telling you to do. Like, you're going to have a general idea of his response. You know what I'm saying? You're going to know that it is a my good and faithful servant, welcome in. Or on the other hand, it's one thing to just say, forget it. I don't care what you say. Don't care. You're going to know his response. Depart from me. I don't know. You're going to know that you're not going to get a good, healthy response from your father. But in the middle, to know what he says. And to say, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I don't care how you think, how you feel. To be in the middle like that, you don't know how he's going to respond. And it's not a fear-based type of thing that I'm trying to breed or incite in you, but it's a respect thing. It's a reverence type of thing. It's a loving type of thing, type of response, or type of action or mind idea that I want us to develop. You don't want to stand before a God like that and be guessing. I don't know, because I know what he said, but I chose not to do it. I don't know. Who wants to stand before a God like that? A holy God. I don't. Listen, I said all this to say, fight for commitment. Fight to understand the value of commitment. Wrestle with that thing. If you're feeling like God is saying one thing, but you don't feel like living like this or doing this way, wrestle with it. Why? Why don't you see God's love and commitment as enough, as good for you, to where you will require it from a man? Why don't you see that? Don't just give in and do what culture does. You just get culture's reward, which it ain't gonna be good, because culture don't care about a holy God. They don't care what God says. They don't care about love and commitment to him. They don't care. And you are not called to be dipped in culture, but to be submerged in righteousness.